Whoever wants to triple. All right.
I'm Harrison, and I don't know Don as long as you all have. I met him at a permaculture seminar some 14, 15 years ago, and it was like spirit brothers. We matched. And then we have lived in Amarillo for quite a while. I didn't know there are as many people in Amarillo who do not think a lot, because we have grass everywhere so that we can have grass which we can water so we can pay somebody to cut it, etc. We should save the water. Anyway, we had a home which had grass, of course, and so we decided to build a greenhouse and garden. And he was one of the major folks there, and since there was way too much work, which I couldn't do besides my real job, he had a job. And so he stayed basically till now and spent whatever, 10, 20 hours, whatever it took to take care of the greenhouse, grow stuff. And now, those of you who know Don, he did not grow up in Germany, where everything is nicely square. Things were growing, okay? And wherever they were growing, he just loved it. And I loved it too. My wife was not quite as generous. We spent a lot of time traveling. We went to all kinds of water conferences where I learned that what we are doing here is not smart. But nobody else was at the conference. We went to Playa Lake seminars, all kinds of stuff with regard to water and land. Learning was his major job in life. When he was in the greenhouse, he always had these gadgets in his ears and listened to seminars and whatever. So when you got in the greenhouse, you had to really wake him up, because he was in trance, listening and doing with his plants. From the point of view of how he was, I don't think he ever met anybody who was a stranger. And I don't know he ever met anybody who he did not love. He gave his shirt for just about anybody. It was utterly amazing. And within the greenhouse, when I was ready to throw out a plant, he said, no, you can't do that. Got some little stick and put it next to it and watered it. And I don't know what energetically he did otherwise, but most of those plants came back. So that's why the greenhouse did not look like a proper greenhouse, but one which was an intensive care unit. Dying plants. The other thing which always struck me, he was the most patient individual.
Patience of Job.
He would not blow up. He was just cool and calm and thinking and smiling. and saying, it will pass. From the point of view of the way I met him, the way he lived now. He did not worry about history, he did not worry about Washington, nothing. He was here, did his thing, and that was just absolutely amazing because the rest of us, I am not one, I have a phone, and I don't know 99 out of the 100 functioning tests. Most of you do this stuff. I don't even know how to do it, and he did very little of it. He had this thing in his pocket and listened. And I want to recommend to follow his footsteps in that regard, because we are too distracted.
Yeah.
We cannot see nature. And I'm absolutely appreciative that we are here, because in this garden his soul can find peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Indigo Rael Holton. I'm Mark's daughter, and Mark is Chris's youngest brother. But I have a message from his second brother, Chris, and it's a poem. I remember my times with Don. I remember the house on First Street when our dad said to the three of us, boys, this is your sister Maria, be good to her. I remember at the new house on Avondale, our parents would seat the four of us on the floor in front of our dad's brand new fancy stereo and play Sons of the Prairie's greatest hits before sending us to bed. Years later, we would talk about how we will remember those songs. I remember the time we threw shoes down the hall at the babysitter, and when our dad came home, boy was he pissed, and yes, we got a whipping. I remember sneaking into the basement and stealing our dad's Guinness ale, climbing a tree at the far end of the yard and drinking the warm ale until we got disgusted with the flavor. Relatable. I remember stealing the babysitter nanny's cigarettes and smoking them together. First time we smoked tobacco, and looking back, it was a mistake. I remember sharing a room, arguing over who got to be Tarzan and who got to be John Carter of Mars. Dividing up the works of Edgar Rice Burroughs between us, and later trading my collection of Burroughs for our dad's old desk. He got the better deal. And after all, it wasn't his desk to trade. I remember the summer trip to Mexico where we convinced the house handyman to let us watch him cut the head off a chicken so we could see it run around headless. I remember watching Don at the wrestling matches where he would wrestle from 167 to light heavyweight, depending on where the coach needed him. The pool table my dad bought for Don, so he didn't have to play pool in bars. It didn't work. He still went to bars, but the rest of us got to play pool. I remember his visit during my stay in Japan, where we visited the ancient capital of Nara during the New Year, and we got to view artwork that was only on display once a year. He would take the opportunity to travel more of Asia solo, and I remember the stories he would tell later of his travels, his visit to China and the boat ride down the slow river, in Taiwan, where he finally learned how to use a Chinese dictionary and the first time could communicate, and meeting an Australian bloke in a bar and joining him to clear trail for a week. I remember my later trips to Amarillo, where I would spend the day riding shotgun as he went about his mowing grounds, talking story in the truck and practicing my flute with the roar of the mower in the background. I remember, more recently, long conversations over the phone while I took my daily walk and he pushed his lawnmower. I remember, Don. The floor is now open.
everyone. My name is Samantha Gates, or Sam Gates, and I am the oldest stepdaughter of Dawn. And I met Dawn before I even met my real dad. While he never tried to take his place, he has no idea that he did in so many ways. So for nearly 40 years, I look at my kids and my siblings, and I know that I know how to change a tire because he kind of rescued me while I was out seeing home health patients to change my tires so I could continue. Some of them are probably your parents or your kids, your aunts or uncles. As Dr. Halverson said, right now, my husband can tell you in our plant window, because I am a plant parent too, there are cheap chopsticks holding up plants that I am rescuing myself. And I used to think that my Grey Goose gave me my green thumb, but I know that a lot of it came from Dawn as well. I recently went on a girls trip, and they will all tell you that they would not have survived if I didn't teach them how to make a fire in the fire pit. All of these things. My kids know how to pitch a tent. All of that came from Dawn. So he may not have been my biological father, but he has been more of a father than any person on this earth. And I can tell you one thing, for those of you who may have a parent who didn't choose you, it's a blessing to know that he chose me, he chose all of us.
My name is Matt Mitchell, and I'm number 5 out of 7. To Dawn, I was Bub or Bubby.